Bless up for tuning in to Project Chaney. Magic happens when you question everything. Conspirituality becomes reality, weirdness is welcomed, and it's okay to change your mind. Big up yourself.
Big up yourself. Welcome to another episode of Project Chaney. As always, I'm Chaney, and I have a journal full of topics to bring you today. I know it's been a couple of weeks since we've hung out, but I have been writing. I have some rants to go over with you guys. I have some rabbit holes that might be fresh to you. I have some rabbit holes that might be for some of you, oh shit, I forgot about that rabbit hole. I should go back into it. How are you? How is work treating you? How's your family treating you? How's your spouse treating you? But most importantly, how are you treating you? Are you being kind? Are you being gentle? Are you being sweet? Did you do anything extra for yourself for the strawberry full moon in Sagittarius? If you got the opportunity to see that moon, it was phenomenal. One of the times I walked outside to look the night before last, and right when I looked up, like the second I walked out my door and looked up, I saw a shooting star go kind of due east, and it didn't have too long of a tail, but it was really bright. And it's been a while since I've seen a shooting star. It was pretty special. I liked it. When was the last time you guys seen a shooting star? I saw a UFO last night. That's pretty normal though. And it kind of, I say pretty normal for me. I've seen 3 times in life where I've seen a quote unquote unidentified flying object that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a UFO. This being said, every single time I go outside and look up long enough, I can see a satellite. I can see one of those tiny little fast moving dots that I don't know what it is, but I've hung out with enough friends of mine that they're like, Chaney, that's not a UFO, that's a satellite. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Satellites. I don't even know if I believe in satellites, but okay, whatever. It's not a UFO. I can't identify it. You can't identify it, but it's just a satellite. We're going to go with that. Anyways, do you guys have crazy UFO experiences? Have you seen anything weird in the sky? I've seen a cloaked ship before. I was laying on my buddy's deck with him, and we were staring up, and this low, floating, not any real noise, and you could tell it was kind of cloaked with like a technology because of the way it went through clouds. And it looked like, if you've seen the movie The Predator, and where he changes, where he kind of becomes invisible, like a heat sensed. That's what it almost looked like in the sky when we saw this one. And that was the second best UFO I saw. After the first time I was laying with my buddy on a roof in Oregon, a whole different state, and these 3 off-white orbs. I don't know if they were all attached or if they were just flying in triangle formation, but they were like, I say off white because they were like a flat white. They were not emitting light, but they were absorbing light from the bottom. It was kind of crazy, kind of weird. Do you guys have UFO stories? I didn't even mean to start out with UFO story. Like, I should just start over, but I'm not gonna. You guys can have it all today. I'm leaving it all for you today. So we passed a Memorial Day since I last talked to you, and I thought it was kind of funny. The same buddy actually of mine who I've seen UFOs with, he always says if I'm like, oh, happy Memorial Day, he's like, and you know, he's a veteran. He's like, well, I'm not dead, but thank you. And he's like, you can wish me a happy Veterans Day. It'll make more sense. And I always just thought it was real funny in what you guys thought out there. Memorial Day is for dead veterans. Veterans Day is for living ones. And do people really know that? Do people know the significance of a memorial and a vet, a living person and a dead person. I just thought that was funny because he's always kind of an asshole. Like, yep, happy Memorial Day to you. I'm not dead. So, anywho, have you guys ever heard of a Hollywood person named Angeline? I talk about her. If you've ever caught me in a conversation, she may come up. And I lived in Los Angeles for a while in Hollywood. And there's a famous person there who's famous in Hollywood only. And her grandfather, and I might be a little off with this story, but her grandfather, way back when, let's say he owned hundreds and hundreds of billboards all throughout Los Angeles and San Diego and LA County. And when he passed away, he left them to his 3 grandchildren, all the billboards. So 2 of the grandchildren sold their billboards or rented their billboards out and made a very comfortable living. But Angeline, the other grandchild, she put her face on all her billboards. So she just put her face in her pink Corvette. And just for decades, she covered the billboards with herself. So Angeline made herself kind of like the Loch Ness Monster of Los Angeles, where you really, if you saw Angeline, like an Angeline sighting in her pink Corvette driving like Barbie, it was like you had to tell everyone about it that day. Like, oh my God, I just saw Angeline. Even famous people were excited that they saw Angeline, but she was somebody who just made herself famous by putting her face on everything. I saw a movie coming out on some network. Who knows? Because there's so many networks now. I don't know all their names, but I think it's just called Angeline. But now I'm curious. I'm like, oh, what is this lady's whole story? I used to have a punk band when I lived in Los Angeles called Righteous Bitch. And one of our songs was, I Want a Billboard Like Angeline. So cheesy. Maybe one day I'll sing it to you. Maybe one day I'll find the song and play it. I will never do that. You guys will never find it either. You hear me, Anons? You won't ever find it. Ha ha ha. I was punk rock enough to not leave a computer footprint. And I'm that old. Okay. What else do I want to talk to you guys about? Let's see if I can make a segue between each of the weird topics that I have to. My next topic that I want to talk to you about is Cinderella's glass slipper. Now, this is a weird spell. I was thinking about Cinderella. She's cleaning all the time with mice and birds and for her evil stepmom. And her fairy godmother comes. And she's obviously a magical little old woman. And she takes a pumpkin and turns it to a carriage and turns those said animals into horses and a doorman and gives her a gorgeous dress and gives her a pair of glass slippers. Now, not only is your magic not strong enough that right at midnight, you're like, bitch, when that clock strikes midnight, my magic only lasts this day. It will not last into tomorrow. So when that clock strikes midnight, all this is going to go away. You better get the hell out of the castle. Why'd you give that bitch glass slippers? I've been thinking about these glass slippers. One, you must be so graceful to walk in glass slippers. 2, you must be so elegant to dance in glass slippers. But homegirl ran downstairs. Shoe slips off. Obviously, it's not so snug that it's the only shoe in the whole kingdom that fits this one girl's foot. If it fell off her foot, it might be a little big for her. I'm surprised he didn't find the wrong Cinderella. And if she was dancing all night and hanging out with the prince and whatever, her feet were probably swollen. So that shoe shouldn't have come off. But the idea that it didn't break? Or what kind of cruel fairy godmother do you have to give you glass slippers? It's either next level grace or that is some big magic. I can't fathom why the fairy godmother gave her glass slippers. So rude. It's a weird spell. And then I was thinking, of the Disney witches. Like, she's a fairy godmother, but we have a lot of witches in Disney movies. And what are their superpowers? What are their spells? They put a lot of girls to sleep, it seems to be. Like, they want their beauty. They want their youth. Like, magic mirror on the wall. I just Mandela effect you guys. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? What? You really just ruined that girl's whole life? She already is living with dwarves. You just ruined her whole life because you're not fair enough? What? This is insane. And it was insane for me to watch as a little child. It seems like all the animals all lose their mom and all the real life ladies all get put to sleep by an evil queen. Disney is quite a shit show, that Disney. Okay, this is going to be no segue. I have written the NBA, trash, Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, refs, apparently the whole thing. I believe the NBA is trash. I believe the games are fixed. I don't think you need as many basketball players or players in general to fix the game. I think you could have magnets and balls if you wanted. You could have one dirty ref if you wanted. You could have one dirty ref and a dirty player and change everything. I also think the NBA is used very frequently as a almost like they're going to dictate the social norm. So the NBA with the Trayvon Martin of it all, like LeBron James wearing the black hood, putting the fists up. They were the first to shut down from coronavirus. They were like the first big corporation to make the media be like, okay, we're all going to close down now. Kobe Bryant was definitely murdered. Especially the way they took his record over the day before he died. That was crazy. Michael Jordan, for sure. I talk about it a little on episode 23 of mine. He is a huge gambler, and his dad, bare minimum, was murdered because of Michael's gambling addiction. Michael also stepped away from basketball to just go play baseball because of his gambling addiction. So, I think the NBA is a very sketchy organization, from who wins to the names of their teams. And I think they dictate a lot of social norms that we are completely unaware of how much power the NBA has, and that they're the first to do it a lot of the times. So yeah, the NBA is trash. I have Tom Hanks written on here, like just Tom Hanks, as if Tom Hanks would be enough for me to bring to you, and I could talk to you just for hours about Tom Hanks. Maybe I have it on here. If you're a new listener to this show, I am obsessed with Tom Hanks. Like, I'm obsessed with Tom Hanks like no other Hollywood actor. I feel like I can attach every single conspiracy, New World Order, to him or some movie that he's done. I feel like he's like a tool of the CIA to tell us kind of what their plans are, their revelation of the method, so to speak. I think anyone Tom Hanks plays in a movie is a pedophile. Yep. Mr. Rogers, pedophile. Captain Phillips, pedophile. Sully, pedophile. I don't know. You pick the movie. The Man with One Red Shoe, a CIA movie? Sure. Bosom Buddies, put him in a dress. Well, that was a TV show, but you know. Forrest Gump, I think that was just kind of putting in our face what they were able to do with technology for a very long time. Like, we're like, oh my God, look at Forrest and JFK. Yeah, that's how much they've been changing footage on us for a long time. I'm even old enough to remember there used to be some Kennedy footage of Kennedy's assassination. And then there was other footage that came out recent where they're like, oh, but look at this new angle. Is it? Or is that Forrest Gumped up JFK footage? So we're all on a wild goose chase, a red herring, so to speak. A look over here. I feel like they do that to us a lot. So who knows why I just randomly wrote down Tom Hanks. not Tom Hanks's plasma bag, not Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson stay at the same hotel and happen to get COVID the same time that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom do. Did that all go down in Australia? Let me not get started on Australia. That creepy Queensland. Anyways, I'm done with Tom Hanks. False flag shootings underneath Tom Hanks. I don't know if I've hung out with you guys and discussed the Robb Elementary School shooting. The Robb Elementary School shooting. Yeah, I mean, what am I going to say about it? You probably could listen to me talk about this shooting and just put it over every single false flag shooting. And just because I think it's a false flag doesn't mean I believe that people didn't die. A false flag just means the narrative they're telling us isn't weird, or that the narrative that they're using isn't the real narrative. They're using this to, I don't know, take our guns away again. You can't see at the exact same time that Trudeau's signing legislation. Biden doesn't know what the hell he's talking about signing gun legislation. They thought we were all going to be at a quite different point in the New World Order right now than we are. The idea that you even still have your gun in your hand, and if you listen to this show, you probably haven't had a vaccine in your arm. The idea that you still can get a gun and don't have to get a vaccine means their New World Order is not winning. No matter how bleak that you think it is, no matter how newly woke, because this is a problem for a lot of the people that have just woke up or woke up from 2018, 2019, 2020. You guys learned all the information so fast that you're like, oh my gosh, it's ending. We're all coming to an end right now. But if you've been reading all the same information for 20 years, you can see that this is not how they wanted it to turn out. This, just raising gas prices high, is not the means to an end they were planning for us. Do you remember the Suez Canal? Do you remember when the boat blocked off the whole canal? I know I'm asking a lot from you. You might have to go back to before monkeypox. You might have to go all the way back to try to remember the Suez Canal. That was the first time they tried to do a food shortage on us. It didn't work, did it? You still had food in your fridge. Remember, they showed the whole world. Oh my God, everywhere is going to be blocked off. This is going to make everything skyrocket. Nothing happened. You never noticed anything from it. You remember that? Remember the trucker strike in Canada? Remember all the truckers were going to strike? They were going to use that to blame on food shortages. But guess what? You never had any food shortages, did you? Your fat ass still ate. Your kids still ate. You're still feeding grandma at the barbecue. None of that ever happened, did it? So now we're sitting here again and gas is tick, 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 tick. It's never been this high in my whole lifetime. I feel like I live in the UK. I used to hear about these prices when I was a kid. Well, in Europe, they pay $8 a gallon. And I'd be like, well, good for Europe. They need to get more fucking guns. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Anyways, they keep trying this stuff over and over again. They put one thing on the TV. Here's the carrot. Will you guys walk around the track? Here's the carrot. Will you guys keep walking around the track? Oh, look, scary virus. Keep walking around the track. Oh my gosh, so hungry. You better go buy all the toilet paper in the store. So when the other two people get there, when they hear the toilet paper shortage on the news, you bought it all. And then you're on the phone like, I didn't even notice the toilet paper shortage. I don't even know what the gig is. I got 10 separate packages of toilet paper. These people are crazy. There's no toilet paper shortage. These people are nuts. I have 30 things of formula. There is no formula shortage. I have 30 of it in my cupboard. These people are crazy. Yep. That's how they do it. They tell you they're going to run out on something, and then you guys go all and stockpile it, and then when other people get to the store, they're out of it. That's how all of it works. The TV tells you, and then you go do the job of the television. That's how it all works. So, I guess with the false flag shootings and the New World Order, I'm not as scared as everybody else. I'm not as fearful. I'm not all, the end is nigh. I hate that I'm paying so much money for gas. I hate it. I hate how much everything costs at the store. I cannot imagine out there if you hadn't taken the advice and started a garden. And let's be real, even if you started a garden, how many tomatoes can a bitch grow? How many ears of corn can a person grow? How many peppers do you actually have? If you don't have a farm, your garden, it might save you a couple $100 at the grocery overall, but let's be real, it's probably not that great of a garden. Let's be real. It's probably not enough to even notice any kind of difference of your the amount you're spending at the grocery. And I know for a fact I have people that listen to my show that they do have farms and they do live on pieces of property all over the world where if the power cut off to their property, they can go out and feed themselves and their family for a month and not even think twice about it. But I also know I have a lot of people that listen to this show that are a bunch of big talkers that have never stuck their little hands into the soil to put a seed in the ground to ever plant anything. And they're like, oh shit, maybe I should start a garden because shit is getting expensive. It's getting pricey out there. That is the drowned out. That is them trying to suffocate us. It's tick, 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 tick until we boom. That's what they're trying to do. So maybe you have friends and family. Maybe you guys can purchase a cow together. And by purchase a cow, there's meat places that you can get a freezer and get your meat a lot cheaper, maybe locally from a local farmer, a pig, a cow, something of this nature. There is collectives you can go in on where you can get vegetables and stuff that might not be the prettiest vegetables in the world because, you know, at your Publix and your Winn-Dixie and your Kroger and your places, they only sell specific vegetables that look a specific way. But there's a whole bunch of other vegetables that don't look as pretty that are probably from better places that you can get for less expensive. So there's local farm stands and fruit stands and grocers. Reach out to them. They may be less expensive. This is a time, though, that it takes a community. Everybody's a little more broke. Everybody's feeling the pinch. Maybe you guys can start cooking communal meals together. Maybe one of you has the meat and one of you has the potatoes and one of you has the soda pop. I don't know what you're bringing to your meals. It was a barbecue in my head. We were sitting around like a wooden picnic table. But there is a way we can all help each other. I think the carpooling is number one, helpful. I know we all like our own time. I know you're like, Chaney, if I carpool, I won't be able to play you in the car. I'll be talking to this bitch all the way to work. You might be able to play me in the car. They might like it. Maybe your work friend also listens to Project Chaney. Wouldn't that blow your mind? Some cunt at work that you're like, oh, I hate her. And then you find out she listens to me too. Wouldn't that be the most exciting? I want to be involved in your guys' work friendship. Me. Sorry, that was my narcissistic moment. Okay. What else do I want to talk about? Because we're going to jump all over. Do you guys sleep on cotton sheets, on wool, on hemp? Do you... Mixed fabric is something I bring up a lot. My body hates plastic on me. Like I'll get sweaty palms if I wear shitty socks that have too much stretch in them. And I know it doesn't make any sense. If my feet can't breathe appropriately, my hands sweat. And I was thinking, you know, some ladies that listen to my show, they're like, oh my God, I have hot flashes. And I'm like, Brody, are you sleeping in plastic sheets? Are you sleeping in some kind of weird material blanket that you got that you can't even pronounce the fibers that are in it? Maybe your body does not like it. Maybe you need to have 100% natural materials on you, especially when you're sleeping. So it's just a little question that I had for people out there. What kind of sheets and blankets and pillowcases have slowly crept their way into your lives? And you also probably have a pillowcase that is from you when you were a child. Like you probably stole that pillowcase from your parents' house. It was probably one time your dad or mom's favorite pillowcase, and you probably still have it, and it's probably the one you still prefer to put your face on. But then you have all these other bullshit pillowcases and blankets and sheets that you really don't love as much. It's probably because the old one is 100% cotton. Just a thought. Check your labels. Get your guys' selves some new bedding if you can afford it in Joe Biden's America. Or, write to me. Let me know. Are you having weird night sleeps? Are you sweaty? Are you mixing your materials? Do you notice it when you have it on in your t-shirts or socks as well? Let me know. You can hit me up at projectchaney@gmail.com. You can find me at Project Chaney on Instagram or Twitter. You can also find me at Chaney Project on Twitter. And the place I probably frequent the most is Chaney_in_Wonderland on Instagram. You do have to type that whole thing in because I'm the most shadow banned. I am trying to swing through my Telegram chat room occasionally, which I've been very bad about. I do have a lot of amazing people in there. If you are out there and lonely and are on Telegram, do find the Project Chaney chat. If it isn't the place you hang out, you will find other people there and other chat rooms from there. It's a good jumping off point because I really have not spent a lot of time in there. I do try to drop things if I'm on random digs, but not as much as I'd like. But anyways, hit me up those places. Let me know if anything I talk about today in this random ramble sesh hits you anywhere that's important or not important, or you hate me or love me or whatever it is. Feel free to let me know somewhere. I'm into it. Okay. So we had the shooting in Buffalo that the news is like, oh my gosh, this racist went into a black grocery store and killed people. Well, another crazy thing is that the security guard that was killed in that grocery store had invented or was in the works to like patent and invent a car that runs on water. And this seems to be something that happens all the time. It doesn't matter if you come up with amazing magical medicine that is a cure for all. It doesn't matter if you come up with something about technology that will save people money, like a car that runs on water. It doesn't matter if you have some secret about the government and it's going to change the whole game from the inside out. They're going to kill you. They're going to figure out a way to kill you. And if they can figure out a way to kill you where they wrap it up into a whole nother one of their psyops. So they're like, oh, look, we can kill this black man who also invented a water engine. We don't want that water engine to get out. And then you know what else? We'll sell it to society and say a racist killed the black man. 2 birds, 1 stone. No one even notices the water engine anymore because they're like, oh my God, everybody's racist. Everything's racist. They're never going to do anything about the racist. Trump America. So you should definitely look into it. There was a security guard at that store and I think he was an ex-cop and he did invent a car that runs on water or an engine that runs on water. So that definitely could be a reason they want to murder someone. Okay, here's a creepy thing, you guys. My wife actually brought this up to me and I'm like, that is a good point. She's like, isn't it crazy after all these shootings? You know, like it could be Pulse nightclub shooting. It could be 9/11. It could be San Bernardino. It could be Robb Elementary School. After all these shootings, they do these massive blood drives, almost like the same way that they want to take the guns. It's like hand in hand with it. They do these massive blood drives. But the blood that they needed for the incident is already being used. And then they always have a ton of people go and give blood. And there's never as many people injured as the actual blood that is given ever, ever, ever in the history. And this is the part she brought up to me that I was like, huh, that's a good point. She's like, do you ever recall in the history of your life your vet, doing a blood draw for animals? Like, bring your cat or dog in and give a bag of blood because there's been a lot of car accidents this summer. Why? Why don't you get blood from our animals and store it? If they're really storing all this blood, if we're really going through all this blood and it's really hard to come by, why aren't we taking other species and having backup blood fridges for all of them? And someone might write me and be like, well, Chaney, humans are in car accidents and there's a lot more ways that people might need blood in a hospital. Is there, though? How many blood banks are there? What's the Red Cross doing with that bus all over your town? They sure do want a lot of your blood for free. How long have you been giving them your blood? You've been giving them your blood since you were 17 and you're almost 40 now. How much blood is that? Do you really think you've been in contact with that many people that needed that much of your blood? I mean, if we're going to talk about things like adrenochrome or lizard people or vampires or any of this crazy kind of shit, and adrenochrome isn't crazy as lizard people or vampires, but how could we not talk about the Red Cross? How could we not talk about blood banks? What are they doing with your shit? There's this new thing, too, that I'm sure it's a vax injury. I'm sure it's a vax injury because I have so many guy friends now that doctors have told them their like iron is too high. And so they have to give blood more frequently so their blood doesn't clot on them or something. Do you guys know what I'm talking about out there? Please, if this is happening to you, please write me and tell me about it, because I feel like there's a couple types of people that I know that are being asked to give blood more. And in my opinion, they all seem indigenous. And I want to know why they want indigenous people to give their blood more. And by indigenous, I mean their people are from the land that you're from. When you look back into them, their feet are from the place you stand right now. They didn't come over on a ship. They didn't, and I don't care if you're in Europe, Australia, America, South America, wherever. The indigenous people of your place, in my opinion, they're being told to give blood more, and we might not know about it. Why? Anyways, what else do I have? What else do I have? I have Germans written down. I have Germans, Royals, America, Nazis, Israel. And I put a star by it. Like, girl, you have to remember to talk about this. As if there's enough. Like, okay, let me see. This is what it triggers right now. We know the royals, the Queen's bloodline, are all Germans. We know the Mountbattens, before they changed their name to Windsor, they were all Germans. We know the Americas. We rescued Nazis, called Operation Paperclip, and we let them come into our country and take over from the inside out. And we'll just say the CIA to stay on fact here and not just assumption. Israel, they create their state right after World War II with the surviving, quote unquote, surviving Jews from the Holocaust, and they go and they create this state. But would the surviving Jews be Jews that made deals, or be people pretending to be Jewish and not really? Was it their own Operation Paperclip? And so I was just thinking, did the Nazis really lose, or did they infiltrate every government everywhere? And the royals were Germans before World War II. Like, they already had German in their bloodline. But maybe World War II was just us all noticing, because Prescott Bush was already a Nazi sympathizer, the Bush's grandfather, before World War II. So were we all already infiltrated by these Nazi regimes? And then just watching this war take place, and we're like, look, we killed the Nazi. It was Hitler. But really the leaders of all of our quote unquote free countries were actually all Nazis. I don't know. I was just thinking about it. Totally separate topic of a Robb Elementary School gas car. Okay, let's see. I have false flag shootings. If you do not know what a false flag is, it is a shooting that doesn't really go down the way it goes down for political or social means. And if you're listening to this show, you already know what it is. I don't know why I wrote it on here. Are you a tattooed person listening to this show? Do you have a lot of tattoos? Were you a cutter as a child? I equate these two things together. I don't think all people that had tattoos were cutters, but I think all cutters eventually become tattooed people. It's a similar feeling. And I wonder out there, I haven't had a tattoo for a while, and I really do want new ink. I have a buddy who I really want to come into town and just sit and hang out with him and record it and be like, okay, tattoo this whole arm and let's just record and talk shit. But there is, at least for me, there was this, and I wasn't a cutter, but I did cut myself, if that makes sense, as a kid. I wasn't somebody that you'd see in like the 13 movie where I was a teenager that was sneaking off into my bathroom, like sticking my finger down my throat to vomit and then also cutting myself. It wasn't a movie of the week, but sometimes I did cut myself, and like on purpose with a razor blade, or I'd cut things into myself. And I later got tattooed and realized I liked the tattooing because it was almost like a scar I was giving myself and putting ink in it. And I also found that when I wasn't able to express my grief and my pain with words or emotions, I would tend to get a tattoo for that thing. And as I've gotten older and gotten better with expressing myself, I have less ink that way. And it's been a while since I've been inked because of what I think my tattoo used to relate to me emotionally. I maybe have healed from that a little bit. And now it is just not a vanity thing, but almost like if I were to get a tattoo, it's like buying a new outfit a little bit. And it used to feel so different to me than that. It used to feel so raw and healing and emotional. And I don't know. It's been a while since I've had one. And so the emotional ties to it, I question, but I know a lot of my audience is inked, and I want to know what your attachments are to your tattoos. And if your tattoos are from your lineage, your people, or your bloodline, or any of that, I'm super interested as well. Like if everyone in your tribe goes out and has to do this certain ceremony before you get tattooed, please write me. This is so much cooler. I want to know all about it. So yeah, I am going to have a kind of segue here because I've been thinking a lot about my season 2 coming up. And this is probably going to be my last full episode alone for season 1. And then my next episode will be 47. So, for the 47 of it all, you can imagine who's going to be my guest for that. I won't give it away. If you don't know, oh my, you're going to be so excited. And I was going to end season 1 at 50, but I was talking to Summer. She is the woman who does the intro for this season. And she's like, why would you stop it at 50? What is 50? You should just stop at 47. Would be season 1. And I'm like, you're right. Why do I have to make it go all the way to 50? I'm going to stop it at 47. So season 1 will be my last episode, probably with My Maria 777. I mean, definitely, not probably. I will get this out. This will be episode 46. Episode 47, I will sit down with my Maria, and then I am going to do a little bit of work for season 2. I do plan on bringing you season 2 on video, in which I'm going to try to get all the audio of season 1 up on YouTube. And some of that I do have video for. I've debated putting that up as well, but because my guest wasn't quite, I mean, I could contact all of them and ask if it's okay, and most of them would probably be like, no problem, throw it up. But I'm probably just going to put Project Chaney with the audio only up for season 1, and then come season 2, I will pre-record and then also drop the video on YouTube. So you will still, nothing, pretty much if you listen to this, nothing will change for you because all my audio is always going to stay the same. But I will have video for season 2 on YouTube. And I am going to have 2 guests at once sometimes, maybe 3 guests at once sometimes. I also spent all of season 1. I wanted you guys to know a little of how my brain works. I wanted you guys to know a little of the people I project on out there, who I see them for some reason in the public sphere, and I feel like I'm like them or admire them or want to be more like them in some way. And so I tried to have them as a guest for season 1. Somebody I was intrigued by, or somebody that I just felt like was all types of righteous or all types of weird. I wanted to have them on for season 1, and I wanted you guys to get to know me by sitting down with me, seeing how I relate to people, and seeing what kind of turns me on and turns me off. For season 2, I want you guys to know how my brain works a little. And so I have certain things I'm obsessed with, like Mary Magdalene or Antarctica or the symbology behind bees or the North Pole or flag magic or blah, blah, blah. I could just keep going into these weird little intricate, odd things like witch trials, not just Salem, but witch trials in general. All the things witchy, in fact. Tarot symbolism. I could just keep naming things that I'm obsessed with. But I want to have in 1 or 2 guests for season 2 to just talk about one topic at a time. Like, I want to have somebody on to just talk about Lady Diana for an hour and a half. I want to have somebody on to just talk about Britney Spears for 2 hours. I want to have somebody on to just talk about the Mickey Mouse Club for 2 hours. This is all weird stuff, but I want people to blow my mind season 2. I feel like season 1, I brought you a whole bunch of stuff I know and sporadically got turned on to a few new things. But season 2, I want to bring you all my favorite things that I'm in love with, and I want people to blow my mind about those things, and in turn, I hope blow your mind about those things. And, you know, if you're making it to this episode and you liked everything beforehand, I appreciate you so much. I can't believe you stuck it out. And I can't believe you listened to me alone ramble on without a guest. And this feels messier than any of my other shows. Even though I've sat alone before, this sitting alone feels really messy right now. But I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep trudging through. But I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and turning on and hearing me out and writing me and debating me and loving me and all the things. So did you guys know, speaking of Lady Diana, that the Spencer, her bloodline is Spencer, that her bloodline is actually the bloodline of Winston Churchill as well? And when you look at Winston Churchill and the Queen of England and how they ran England during, after World War II and into the 50s, 60s, 70s and stuff, you can almost see that the way royals work is like my next of kin would marry into your bloodline. That's exactly what the Spencers and Mountbattens, the Windsors did. And Queen or Princess Diana is related to Winston Churchill, marries the Queen's son Charles so that their two kids actually have a rightful heirs to England, because Prince Charles never was a rightful heir to England. I just think it's really interesting. I don't think a lot of people out there know that the Churchill's Spencer is the same clan. Look it up. They have an interesting family crest, and see, that would be another show I'd have. I would just have somebody on to geek out about Winston Churchill. And some of you are thinking like, bitch, that would be the most boring show ever. I don't want to know anything about Winston Churchill. If you think that, you haven't looked into Winston Churchill enough. You have not looked into Winston Churchill enough. It all matters. Another interesting fact. Did you know that the leopard was considered the king of the jungle, not the lion? The lion had better marketing. That's fake news. It was actually the leopard. And if you look into a whole bunch of African tribes, they wear the pelt of a leopard. They think it hunts better than a lion, which if you think of lions, the females lions are the ones who hunt, and they typically hunt in pack. The male lion doesn't really do anything except sit there with his big, huge, fluffy hair. But yeah, leopards will jump right into a lake and like pull a crocodile out. Leopards will climb trees. They're sexy AF. So leopards are the real king of the jungle. That is the reason that you've been listening to 45 minutes of this. So you could hear me say that. Kitten programming. I thought it was a cool fact. How are you going to hate NASA and praise Elon Musk? That's just what I have written big on my page. How does one praise NASA, Operation Paperclip, Nazis, and praise Elon Musk and think they're different? And you could be like, well, Chaney, NASA's a whole fake propaganda agency that's shooting fake rockets to the moon to embezzle money and put world fear in people because they think we can shoot a missile that far. And I'd be like, well, isn't Elon Musk doing the same? And he shot a Tesla car into space, and now you guys are all being forced to drive Teslas. He's digging tunnels underground with a company called Boring, and his digging machine's called Alice. He wants to put a Neuralink in the fucking sky and attach it all to your brain, that he probably already has the Neuralink in his head. He's married or was married to a necromancer named Grimes. Yeah, I don't know how many times I could say it. Elon Musk is a creep. If you're into Elon Musk or think at any way, shape, oh, he's a genius. He's such an inventor. Name one thing he's invented. He's the stealer of patents. He's an Albert Einstein. He hasn't invented anything, including his name. Every single one of the names that he has for any of his companies is kind of like, did he invent that or did he just steal that? Even SpaceX. SpaceX? Is that Madonna's space company? Is that Christina Aguilera's space company? So original. Anyways, I think there's so much Elon Musk worship, and it's the same as Lady Gaga. It's always Lady Gaga and Elon. From Elon Musk. Let's jump into pigs. Let's jump right into pigs. Have you guys ever looked at pigs and thought, that looks like a human? The skin looks like a human. The eyeball looks like a human. The way it gets sunburnt. The way that you could take a pig heart out and put it in a human. That's weird. I think pigs might be genetically modified humans that didn't go as well. Like they might have been the beta version of us in the Americas. But then I was thinking, does each continent have one of these genetically modified things that if you look at it long enough, you're like, yeah, but that's a human. And so I was like, Australia, their genetically modified human, kangaroo. That is a human. There's something off with it, from the way that it puts its baby in its belly like that and holds it, to the way its face looks, to the I swear, the new built Nate Diaz kangaroos. That is not how kangaroos have been my whole life. I feel like I would have seen this in a weekly reader or in a coloring book. There would have been a cartoon that were like, look at these jacked ass kangaroos. There was never those cartoons. I feel like this is something like on the timeline where Christopher Columbus is demonized, because I'm also from the different timeline where we had to learn about Christopher Columbus in school and that he was a hero and that he discovered the Americas. So it is a far different timeline. But on the timeline that I'm from, kangaroos weren't built. They just had little lady arms. Like, more kangaroos looked more feminine. Like, they all looked like pear-shaped matronly housefrows. And now kangaroos look like jacked Joe Rogans, except way taller. It's so crazy. So yeah, pigs and kangaroos are genetically modified, and that's why I brought you guys here today. They're all humans. Just accept it. I think the word hormone, because, they'll be like, oh, your hormones are messed up. And words are spells. Hormone. Girl, I'll make that hormone. Really? Hormones? They're like, look at her bitching again. Here comes the hormoning. Oh, that has nothing to do with nothing. Okay. Bohemian Grove. Fake. Alex Jones. Fake. I don't believe in Bohemian Grove, you guys. The picture that everyone always puts up of the owl deity, and they're all in there, the flame burning, and they're quote unquote worshiping Moloch. Moloch's not an owl. Moloch's a bull. And so that whole picture of Alex Jones, he snuck into the hotel and he finally filmed this stuff going at Bohemian Groves. You'll never believe what these elite are doing. Red herring. That's what they were doing. We were all looking at Bohemian Grove, probably because it was some third-rate politician hangout, and it wasn't the place to ever look. They were all on Zorro Ranch playing Westworld. They were all on Epstein Island playing grab ass with children. They were all hanging out with the Virgin Airlines guy and going with Elon Underground, and we were all idiots believing Alex Jones just snuck into the Bohemian Grove. So yeah, I think Bohemian Grove's fake. I think the owl's fake. I think the entire storyline of their wanderlust playing druidic games in the woods is fake, fake, fake. It's actually a way, it almost puts a lighthearted, sparkly little role to what I actually think goes on. And Bohemian Grove makes it seem like, oh, look, some naked politicians having butt sex in the woods. No, that's not what's happening, you guys. It's not consenting adult stuff that's happening. And that's what Bohemian Grove kind of makes it seem like. So I think Bohemian Grove's a red herring. I think all the picture of the owl effigy and any of that bullshit is fake. And yeah, I think Alex Jones is fake too. Easy parcheesi. Speaking of fake, this one might get me hate. It's easy for people to hear Alex Jones was fake, but this one actually might hit nerves. You know who was probably a creep show and was probably murdered? Steve Irwin. I don't believe he was killed by a stingray or a manta ray or whatever they say happened to him. If you look at how much power he has in Australia, and he, I think he was like, he owned and ran like the biggest zoo in Australia, and now his ex-wife or his widow and his daughter run it, I think. That's human trafficking to me. If you have animals in boxes or in cages that you're shipping to any other places and other people cannot open up those crates or boxes, that's art in the embassy rule. Like, you get down with the same kind of customs trafficking situations that make it easy for you to get humans from point A to point B. And so Steve Irwin running a zoo with crazy animals in Australia, and his relationship that he had with Hollywood, and he gives me a creepy vibe. So yeah, Steve Irwin. I would definitely be curious what his bloodlines were. I'd be curious how he first got the zoo. I'd be curious where all of his training came from, what fraternities he was in. Has he ever spirit cooked with Marina Abramovich? There's one for you that you didn't think I was I'm going to maybe name this episode something with the crocodile hunter, or put his face on my cover and be like, fuck this guy. Everyone's like, what? Who hates Steve Irwin? Me. Okay. This is how my brain works. I sit alone when I'm not with you guys for the last few weeks, just hating on Steve Irwin. What a weirdo. Okay. What else do I have on here? You know what, you guys? I did DMT a couple years ago, the last time I did it, and it changed my whole life. It changed my whole perspective. This is why everyone does DMT or does acid or does a heroic dose of mushrooms, is like you want this whole new perspective on the world and these whole new eyes and these whole new ears and this whole new center. And I wish, just knowing what I know now, the person that I was before the last time I took DMT and the person I am now, even though I knew what I was doing and I had done DMT before and I was doing a heroic dose and I wanted to blow my own mind, I wish I would have realized how little of me was going to come with me to this next phase. I feel like I lost pieces of who I was that day that I didn't really have time to mourn, or I didn't even think about mourning. I was so ready to change and get a new perspective. I just wanted to be out of the person I was and into the new thing. I didn't mourn the person I was because I didn't think it was ever going to go anywhere. And looking back, this many years later and all the way through the coronavirus and the lockdowns and the kooky cocky shit, the loopholes they have jumping through all the time, I miss sometimes who I was. And I don't know if that's just the DMT or just surviving what we've survived. But it would just be my piece of advice to you if you're thinking about doing a psychedelic and taking a heroic dose of something. At least meditate one time before you do that and really love you and take stock of who you are at that moment before you take your journey. Because you will never be the same again. You will never have the perspective that you have. You will never have the eyes that you have. And there'll be a piece of your innocence that's gone. Even if you're a person out there right now that you feel like you don't have any innocence in you, I promise that you do. And you on the other side of that heroic dose will realize how innocent you were. And I just think maybe it should be something a little bit that we think about with our psychedelics, is maybe kind of having a little emotional funeral for the person that we're never going to be again. I don't know. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be way better than the person that you become, but it will be a little less innocent. And that innocence is the thing that never comes back. Good or bad or indifferent. Okay. What? What does that say? Oh, that's for me to look into later. I have no idea. Is the word sovereign really free? I hear you guys use this word frequently. I'm sovereign. I'm sovereign. Really? You're royal? You're the sovereign? That name's the sovereign because the Queen of England is the sovereign. I don't believe I'm sovereign. I don't believe sovereign it doesn't feel like me at all. It doesn't feel like a title I signed up for. It seems like Britney Spears would be like, I'm sovereign. No, you're under a conservatorship. That's what the Queen of England feels like to me. It doesn't feel free. It feels like you're signing up for a responsibility of becoming a royal. I don't want to be a royal. I don't want to be royal. So I don't like the word sovereign. I just wrote it on here. Does the word sovereign really mean free? Hit me up. Hit me up and let me know what you think. I know a lot of you out there are like, I'm the sovereign queen. I'm sovereign humans uniting for one. Sovereign citizens USA. Like, I know sovereign is this really cool word to use in the movement. And maybe my contrarian's just being cunty by being like, I don't love it. It feels a little too queenly to me. I don't want to be a sovereign. Okay. I think that your Achilles heels, your superpowers, your Achilles heels are also your superpowers. And I tell you guys sometimes that I have a golden throat chakra. I feel very blessed that my words sometimes, don't listen to this episode as an example. Sometimes I can contour my thoughts into a way that I mean exactly what I say and say exactly what I feel. And I know that's not possible all the time. I also feel like I have golden ears, like those who have the ears to hear it. I can really listen to someone and feel them, like empathetically feel what they're not even saying. This being said, I don't think I have a golden sense of touch. I'm not a hugger. I'm not the person, like if we first met, I might give you a hug. Like if we have been chatting a whole bunch and like, oh my God, we've known each other a year and we're finally going to meet in person. I might hug you, but I'm really not the huggy friend. Like I'm not the friend that every single time you see me, you need to hug me. I'm maybe the friend that if you lose somebody and you're really sad, then I'll give you a hug. But I don't have a golden touch. That's not my thing. At least not with hugging. That's dirty. Sorry. Surrey Cruise. Which Surrey Cruise is not Tom Cruise's kid, by the way. That is definitely 100% not his kid. Never has been, never will be. He can't have kids. Tom Cruise, Mimi Rogers left him in the 80s because he couldn't have children. He was married to Nicole Kidman and she fucking got pregnant with Russell Crowe's kid. And that's why Tom Cruise left her immediately. And that's also why Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise adopted 2 children because Tom Cruise can't have kids. So Scientology does a whole interview process to come up with the new girlfriend baby mama of Tom Cruise. Katie Holmes wins that acting job and she looks enough like him that her little baby who looks just like her to a T, they look enough alike for people to say, oh my God, that looks like Tom Cruise. But to be real, not only can Tom Cruise not have kids, he's probably 90% a homosexual, and which is fine. I don't have any problem with homosexuals. Anyways, that's all because I said Surrey Cruise. And really it was because I wanted to tell you guys I'm not really a hugger. And some people give the best hugs and like they give hugs better than they could ever listen. I listen better than I could give hugs. And sometimes I have better advice than I could give a hug. So what is your superpower sense? Or what is your weakest? Or what do you feel the most uncomfortable with? Because somebody I was telling that I lack energy with my touch, and they were like, maybe you have so much energy with your touch you don't want to do it to everyone ever, which could be true, but I don't know. Curious. I think medical marijuana is bullshit. I think everything about me having to tell any part of the government to sign up to get a license to go smoke marijuana is retarded. It's, why do I want to tell the government that I smoke marijuana? Why do I want to pay the government to allow me to smoke marijuana? Why do I want to go to only these places that the government says I can go buy my marijuana? And then why in turn, I'm not only paying the government on this end, I'm going to buy my marijuana and pay extra taxes again to the fucking government about it. Why? And then if you live in some places, you lose your concealed and carry if you are a medical marijuana smoker. Why would you ever want to tell the government you smoke marijuana? Well, Chaney, what about if I get arrested and I have marijuana on me? It seems like you have marijuana insurance. People just sign up for any kind of, they'll be like, did you guys hear the moon might fall into the earth? Can I get moonfall insurance? Did you guys hear birds are fake and they're recording? Can I get birds are fake insurance? Like, what? Any way that you'll let the government stick their hand in your pocket because you're scared of something. Do we have shark attack insurance, you guys? I'm sorry, you're not covered by wind damage on your insurance. What? I thought this was a hurricane policy. It is, ma'am. It's a hurricane policy for flooding, but not for wind damage. What? That would actually be a tornado policy that you want, ma'am. But that affects like wind going north and south, but not actual vortexes of wind sucking your roof off. For that, you're going to want to get roof vortex damage on that, ma'am. I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, that's exactly why insurance works. Huh? Did you guys know I went to the hospital? It cost me $35,000 to stay in the hospital for a day. And then I was like, but wait, hospital, I don't have insurance. And they said, oh, you don't have insurance? Then never mind. It's not going to be $35,000. It's going to be $3,500. And I was like, huh? So it's $32,000 cheaper, $31,000 cheaper if I don't have insurance? This seems like a fucking racket. So the insurance companies that you guys are all paying all your money to is being charged, however many more percentage than I'm paying for my uninsured, and you guys don't think you're getting raked over the coals for this? It's crazy. And that was all that conversation was because I don't want to tell the government I smoke marijuana. Okay. This is a message to my mommies out there. My actual real mommies. The ones that have babies that have come out of their womb. Maybe dads too. But maybe honest fathers can admit this. I don't know. I might be totally wrong. I just believe there has to be a connection of a child coming out of your womb than you just watching somebody have the child come out of their womb. Even if it's partially your sperm, I just believe a good mom, an attached being, we can go through all the shitty people in the world, but there just has to be this bigger attachment for a mom to a child than a dad. This being said, either way, for a parent in general, dads and moms, I don't think I was person enough. Like, I think God knew, you know how they say God only gives you what you can handle? God knew I wasn't person enough to handle the love of a child. And not because I couldn't handle the way a child loved me. I don't think I would have been able to handle the way I loved a baby. Like, it just seems so terrifying. Like, I would never be able to sleep. I'm barely able to sleep now. I feel like I would just be watching my baby all the time. Is it breathing? Is it comfortable? You hungry? You thirsty? You tired? What do you need, baby? Like, I have so many amazing mom friends, and just how much they love, and they're so hard on themselves. I hear them like, they'll be talking to me about the new world order, bitching to me about whatever happened to them at work today, or whatever happened to them in their love life, or whatever happened to them in their just the grocery store trying to afford gas. And they're bitching. And, we're just talking shit. And then one of their kids will come in and be like, Mom, blah, 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 blah with my homework. And they're like, bitching. They're like, oh, honey, you just want to add, you use the plus sign. So the 2 + 2, see the 4 over there? Yeah, right on the side. All right, sweetie, go finish your homework. And then they're like back on the phone with me, bitching. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like the amount of kindness and patience that just came out of you, and about something that didn't, it was insignificant to us. Who cares about 2 + 2? But you just had all this wherewithal and like tone and sweetness. And that same kid that you're teaching 2 + 2 is going to learn how to drive, and is going to have their heart broken, and is going to get bullied, and is going to have to move away to college. How do you deal with all that shit? How do you deal with that amount of massive love for something that you're raising, knowing they're going to leave you one day and go and get a relationship on their own and maybe have kids of their own one day, and then that kid will be attached to you because that will be your grandkid? What? I don't know. I just feel like I was never person enough to handle that amount of love. And when I see my mom's friends with their kids and dad friends with their kids, but it's a different energetic attachment. And I'm sorry to be sexist, and I'm sure I'm going to have dads write me and be like, I love my kid. I'd kill myself with my kid. Yeah, but do you think the same as your wife loves your kid? Do you think you love your kid the exact same? Or do you think there's something different with that mom energy? I don't know. I do. I think it's pretty magic. I think it's pretty special. And I feel really grateful that I have so many moms listen to my show and give me their 2 cents and reach out to me and tell me crazy stories about their kids. And it's exciting sometimes at how smart kids are and how much they're picking up on and how just magical and unbrainwashed they are, just right at the core, and how brainwashed we are. And so when you sit with a kid and they start asking you these questions about the world, you're like, where did this crazy question come from? Source. That kid's attached to source and you forgot that. Anyways, I've gone through a little bit of it with you guys. My fake Southern man conspiracy, how Joe Rogan and Elon Musk moved from Hollywood or South Africa, and they moved to Texas, and they become the quote unquote Southern men. So they could Dan Crenshaw and stand behind gun rights and keep Austin weird, just so they can liberalize strongholds in America like Texas that are conservative strongholds. And it's easier to control us if we secede than it is if we stay 50 United States. Because the second we secede, all the states that sign on for secession, let's say the southern states, and all the states that sign on with the union, let's say the northern states, now those become 2 things instead of 50 things. And so Joe Rogan, to me, and that whole alpha male side of the internet feels like a complete enormous psyop. I called them a cheesecloth the other day because I feel like they're a really fine filter that's meant to catch you before you break on through to the other side of the narratives. And so Joe Rogan and Alex Jones and even certain people will watch Fox News and be like, well, I know I'm getting the truth because I watch Fox News. And you're like, are you retarded? Yeah, I think you might be retarded. So a new one of these fake Southern men that I've been watching is Matthew McConaughey, who's actually from Texas, but you can see the political aspirations written all over Matthew McConaughey. He's like, as a Kim Kardashian, you can see everything being set up for him to eventually, I'm going to be the Rock and run for political office. Matthew McConaughey is a fake Southern man. He's a Hollywood guy all day, but he's going to tout off about gun control right now. So always consider the source and consider who's paying the source to speak. Why does an actor like Matthew McConaughey, for 20 years, we watched him walk around barefoot without his shirt on in the beach, all of a sudden need to stand at a podium right now and put a suit on and hold paperwork and be like, I'm Matthew McConaughey and I'm here to talk to you guys about gun control? This is fake, pushed, forced narrative. It's the exact same way as Gal Gadot coming out and saying, looking both ways and being like, I'm confessing that I said something racist. And right before all the celebrities in Hollywood did the black and white video where they looked left and right, I will not stand for racism anymore. Right at the beginning, all these fucking same assholes saying, imagine all the people. It's easy if you try. They all sang fucking Imagine to us in a black and white video. Gal Gadot again. I don't know why it's her specifically that I see. I should put Gal Gadot on the cover. Gal Gadot and Angeline and standing in front of the Bohemian Grove owl. And you will be like, what is happening on this episode? And I'll be like, it's beyond me. I don't even really know. This is the craziest episode. It's episode 46. Buckle up. Sit down, buckle up, lock your ass to the seat and listen hard. Have you guys ever seen Chit? Oh, police. It was like some police show with Steve Guttenberg. I only the title of the movie's in my head, Citizens on Patrol. But it was just some police academy. Did you guys ever watch those stupid movies, the police academies? Maybe that's going to be my cover of this episode. But it was high tower, and there was this little black lady, and she talked like this, and she was like, hey, you guys, excuse me, please get on the bus. And after everybody amped up, please, you guys, if you just sit down and get on the bus, amped up, please, if you guys just sit down, lock your butt to the seat, listen hard. And it was like, oh shit. Some of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. Some of you out there are like, what did she just do? Both is fine with me. At the top of my next sheet, you guys, we're at the halfway mark. This nonsense show, we're at the halfway mark, and now I'm like, do I give them a 2-hour long episode and run through the rest of this? I'm going to run through the rest of it. Why stop now? At the top of this next page, I have latchkey kid and alpha males written next to each other. What? What are you talking about? Probably if you use the word alpha male, you're probably not an alpha male. You probably listen to Joe Rogan. You're probably very short. You like flannel shirts, and you have looked into the Proud Boy application. That's what I picture anyone that would call them. I'm an alpha male. I'm JRE alpha male. TFATK alpha male. Anyways, so the shooter had a hypnotist, a $50,000 truck, $5,000 worth of guns. How many of these school shooters have psychiatry that they're going to? That's weird, huh? Do you guys remember a bunch of kids in your school having psychiatrists? Do you remember a bunch of kids in your school having psychiatrists who are also hypnotists? How many of the school shooters can we find that not only were on psychotropic drugs, but were also seeing some random psychologist? And we can't look at who they're seeing because that's medical records and that's all private. But wouldn't that be interesting if any of these psychiatrists had more than one shooter as a client? Would that be patient? Would that be client privilege? Would that be patient confidentiality? If one of these psychiatrists did have more than one school shooter as a client? I don't know. We never look into that part. Have any of you guys had a school shooting or a false flag somewhere in your neighborhood or somewhere in your town or somewhere? Like, did you live in Boston when the bombings happened? Did you live in Littleton when Columbine happened? My cousins did. My cousins lived in Littleton, Colorado when Columbine happened. And they missed school that day. And I was thinking about connections and people. Do you know anyone that missed a false flag? I have a friend that worked at the World Trade Center, and she never was late to work. And the morning of 9/11, she overslept, and instead of getting on the subway, she took the bus. And she had never been on the bus to go to work that day. And if you had ever been on the subway and taken it to the World Trade Center, the subway station for the World Trade Center was under the World Trade Towers was the subway station. So if she would have gotten there and the building collapsed, it would have collapsed on the subway cars. But she took the bus that day. So she saw the first tower fall from inside the bus driving down the road. And she was supposed to be in it. And I always think those kind of things are really crazy. Like, do you have a survivor's guilt? Or what about if the incident you were involved in isn't a world-known incident? What if it's just a car accident or a boat accident or a shooting or you and your bestie jumped off a cliff together and they snapped their neck? Like, Do you guys have stories out there where there is this amount of survivor's guilt from it? And how does it affect you going forward? Does it make you feel fearless and invincible? Or are you waiting for your number to be up? Or neither? Or you haven't even thought about the thing that you survived until I just brought it up and you were like, holy cow, Chaney, I was 6 years old and every single person on a hot air balloon died except me. Now that would be a really crazy story. But I am curious. I am curious if you were around any false flags, if you know anyone that got any heads up to not be around a false flag, or just death in general. Do you have any survivor's guilt? Were you involved in anything that everybody else died or got really injured? Or were you involved in something that you should have been really injured and died and didn't? Like a miracle happened. I just put 5 questions on that. But please hit me up. I am curious. So I have something on here for weddings, prenups. I don't know why everybody doesn't sign a prenup anyway. And everyone, well, it's so romantic. I mean, granted, me and my wife don't have a prenup, but we didn't really have anything when we met. Now we like everything we have is collective. But if you do have stuff that you're coming to the relationship with and your man has stuff that he's coming to the relationship with, I don't understand the problem of you guys just keeping your things separate and then everything you develop together after that becomes your collective things. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I feel like there should be emotional prenups. I wish we could sit with people enough at the beginning, take the finances out of it, and just be like, if I don't get met in this way, because we always say our vows, but what if it's like, no, if anything happens between us, I want to still be really good friends. If anything happens between us, I'm still hanging out with your mom. If anything happens between us, we still have to take a trip together every May. Because think of how many relationships don't have kids involved. It would just be funnier to me. It's like the prenup. This is what happens if we get a divorce. Well, get detailed about it. Get real detailed about it. If you're already sitting there and your relationship's in a place that you're not romantic enough, you understand the business arrangement of it, then why not go all the way there? Why not write, and if you're an asshole and ever stalk me, that'll cost you $1,000. Or if you ever call me this name, that'll be this. Is this a stupid idea? I kind of was just talking about it in jest with someone about just finances, how everything's just financial only. But look at how much more of things are emotional. Like if we get a divorce, you're not allowed to date anyone for 6 months. That's how long it'll take me to get over it. Okay. So, another thing. There's no segue into this. My brain tried for 1 second. I believe there is a real alchemy, maybe, to outhouses. And if your family's from America or from anywhere, wherever your family's from, if you follow back your family's bloodline to the place where your grandfather came from, or maybe your grandfather's grandfather, there was probably an outhouse involved in that situation. And if it was property that your family's family lived on, they could have lived on that property for 100 years. In some parts of this world, your family could have been on that property for 500 years, maybe 1,000 years. Your family shit into a hole. Your great-grandfather shit into a hole that your father shit into, that you shit into. I wonder if there was any kind of real alchemy that was happening by you guys shitting into a hole on your property, the earth, all of the biological things all leaking into the ground, the grass and the rocks and everything absorbing that, and then all the plants on your land. They know exactly who you were, what you were lacking, and what you had too much of, because you were putting the chemical process of you into the ground where your food was growing. Can you guys follow me on this at all? I think it was probably very powerful. I was listening to Bobby Lee, a comedian, talk about how when he would go visit his family in Korea, how like his great-grandfather shat in a hole that his great-great-great-grandfather shat in. Like for so many hundreds of years, his family has been in this place. And I was like, what is the alchemy of that? They pull all of our shit and piss away from our houses, and we don't really know where it goes. We don't know what they do with it. I mean, we don't really know what they do with any of our trash, but they take it all away from our houses. And if you were to put a seed in the ground, they tell you a really good thing is you put the seed in your mouth first and like suck on it for a second and then put it in the ground. And that tells the seed your genetic makeup and what you would need more out of that seed. And the seed's like, oh, okay. And it grows more toward you. Imagine what your shit and piss might do to the land of and if all your family, what would that tell your vegetables and fruit trees? Just a thought, just a weird thought. Ray Liotta died since I last talked to you guys, from Goodfellas fame. Probably the best gangster movie in my opinion. I think The Godfather is overrated. And Goodfellas is superior. It's a superior movie. You can debate me on this. You can find me at Twitter or Instagram, and I'd love to have it. Or you can find me on Weaving Spiders, sometimes on Saturdays, or maybe in one of their chat rooms if you really want to have it out. But Goodfellas is an amazing movie. Ray Liotta was the star of that movie. He did pass away. I met Ray Liotta once. I worked at an Italian restaurant in Los Angeles. And when Ray Liotta came in this Italian restaurant where we honored the mafia inside this restaurant, if you would have seen it, it was right on Melrose, and it was like red and green and white. It was so Italian in there. So when he comes in, he like orders some food. I'm like, no problem, Mr. Liotta. I'm going to get that all ready for you. I'm getting this whole order together. I'm like, neither of my owners are here right now. I handed him a permanent marker. I'm like, but if you sign the wall, you know, there was part of the wall that was all signed by celebrities. My owners are going to be so stoked. So he signed the wall. I wrapped up all his pasta, all his bread, all his salad, all his knots, all his pie, cake, whatever he got. Wrapped it all up in the best way possible, handed it to him. He said, thank you very much. And he walked right out the door. I gave it to him for free. I'm like, thank you, Mr. Liotta. We're huge fans of yours here, blah, blah, blah. Gave him all this food for free. He goes out the door. He did not give me $1 tip. Not at 50 cents, not a quarter. Maybe I gave him $80 of free food. He did not give me an American dollar. So fuck Ray Liotta. I hope that he has to come back around another lifetime. He has to come back to this simulation all for that. Karmically, Ray Liotta, I would flush your cocaine down the toilet too. Just saying. I'm not that petty. I wish you well, Ray Liotta. I wish you well. Oh, never mind, you're dead. Ah ha ha. It seems like the universe knew exactly what I wanted. Just kidding. I was a big fan of Ray Liotta. It's sad he probably died of getting vaccines and having blood clots. Or people just die. And it has nothing to do with vaccines or blood clots. I don't know if that's true either. Do people just die? It usually is their meddling. Who knows? So, rest in power, Ray Liotta. I have been eating colors instead of calories lately, and I feel like my body is happy about it. I look at a plate, and however many colors I can get on that plate, that lets me know it's a good meal. It seems to be working better for my mental with dieting. And not that I'm dieting, I'm really just trying to eat healthier. And if I have like a rainbow on my plate, it usually is a lot healthier of a meal. Unless it's gummy bears or Skittles. But I haven't been eating gummy bears or Skittles. The only sugar I try to take into my body is from fruit over the last month. And just eating very, very clean. And I think my body's happy about it. I'm not as strong as I would like to be, but I am trying to exercise again. Anyway, so I have been eating my colors. I think I brought it up to you guys before. Me and my Maria always talk about quicksand all the time. Do you also remember when you were a kid, if you were ever at the beach or in your backyard and you'd be digging a hole or something and your grandfather would come out and be like, "What are you kids out here doing? Digging to China?" Wasn't that weird that we were always digging to China? Like, why weren't we? Well, they're like, well, China's on the other side of the globe. So are you just going to dig to the other side of the globe? Oh, huh. China's the other side of the globe. I wonder when they decided that China was the other side of the globe. I think it's interesting that we all believe in DUMBs. We all believe in deep underground military bases. We're all kind of the same assumption that we could be in a freezing war with China right now, and we were always digging to China when we were younger. If there is an Area 51, if there is these deep underground military bases, what if there is no such thing as UFOs, but it's just China? And what if China's not really a country? What if it's underground too? What if it has been for a very, very long time? What if, you guys, what if the dragons live under there too? You know, Chinese and all their year of the rabbit and year of the horse and year of the snake and year of the dragon's the only one that isn't an animal that actually exists. Now, why would they have done that? Unless dragons do exist. Oh, my new t-shirt is going to be I'm old enough to remember monkeypox, because that's how quickly they keep running these psyops on you. And that's why I just want to slap people when they're like, oh my God, have you heard? Like, shut the fuck up. Monkeypox is really just not scabies. What's the other weird? Not shingles. Nobody got shingles ever until they started giving people chickenpox vaccines. There was no such thing as shingles ever until there was a chickenpox vaccine, which no one ever needed a vaccine for chickenpox. We were all fine before the chickenpox vaccine. I never had the chickenpox vaccine, but I know people who have. And I know adults that all got the shingles. And it's so weird too. You get chickenpox everywhere, but you get shingles on half your body. What? What? It's probably the half the body you got your chickenpox shot in. Anyways. Oh, you know how when you're writing, you're texting one of your friends and you're like, oh my gosh, this ducking place. And you're like, this fucking place. It always spells correct. You're fucking to ducking. So we have like that visual in our head. Is the spell check taking away some magic of other words that we're not even realizing? Sometimes I'll write definitely and it'll put defiantly. And I'm like, what? I spelled definitely right. Why did you change it to defiantly? Like, think of how different that spell check is. And so I was thinking, what are the other common phrases that are always being changed by our computer? And if we believe spells are words and letters are symbols and all this, what kind of power is it taking away from us? Or what kind of, why ducking? What does that mean? Well, out of all the words, why wouldn't it just like fooky? I don't know. Why ducking instead of fucking? It makes me crazy. And it's not the only one. So let me know if you have any other weird spell check words that always switch up on your phone that you're like, are you kidding me? I've typed fucking 1,000 times. I've never typed ducking once. Why are you doing this to me still? So, M&Ms. Do you think the colors of M&Ms when they first came out, because M&M, so we have like Matthew McConaughey, Mickey Mouse, and if you turn the two M's on the side, they make a 33, and they like to use this double number all the time. You guys can think of like Marla Maples and, you know, like names, like celebrities just going off in your head, M. So we have these candies, M&Ms. Do you think all the colors of all the candies are poisonous to us? And do you think they're all cancer causing? Because we know it has that like red 40. But what about all the other colors of M&Ms? How poisonous are they to us? And I'm old enough to remember when they added blue to the M&M package. It was like a whole thing that they added the color blue. And at the same time they added that color blue to M&M, we also got like Arctic Freeze Gatorade, Blueberry Otter Pops, and all this fluorescent blue shit came out all over everywhere. And I'm like, did they just figure out this new cancer-causing chemical and they put it in everything? Or would humans not have put anything in their body that was fluorescent blue before? They wouldn't have drank anything that looked like Windex, but now we're totally fine with it. So that's my M&M question conspiracy. Let's see. I don't want to talk to you about Trayvon Martin. I feel like that's going to be a whole nother show for another day, but I did watch some really amazing documentaries of recently on that, and I think everybody really should revisit that case. It's super important for Floridians because they tried to get rid of our stand your ground law, which they were like, it's racist, but really it has to do with cops and us standing our ground against cops. So no one, a federal marshal or a police officer or your dad can't come in your house and threaten your life and take your shit. You can stand your ground. And but in the ritual of it all, the standing the 6 feet apart, the wearing the mask, the chanting no justice, no peace, the taking the knees, and all of this stuff, the first thing we do in our ritual is we put our hood on. And when we put our hood on, that was during the Trayvon Martin, which we go back to the NBA of it all with LeBron James. He was the first one to put his hood on. And then it made all of us, we all hooded up black hoodies. This is ritual, and this is when the ritual started, I believe. It's not the New World Order part. That started however long ago. We've had leaders come and to go in place. But as far as the ritual of this thing, with the Great Reset of it all, in my opinion, it happened with Trayvon Martin. It happened with Obama singing Amazing Grace. Yeah. So if you guys want to revisit that, I'd really be interested in talking to you about it sometime. I do think it's something that was a lot bigger deal than even maybe George Floyd. George Floyd tried to change it so that we privatized our police departments. They're still working on that now. But something happened in the zeitgeist with Trayvon Martin. And it started like the Sandra Bland. It started the whole other... we hate the police rhetoric, and they want a privatized police department on us. They would want nothing more than to take all of our guns and let Amazon police be the only ones allowed to hold our guns. Because then it's a police that doesn't even answer to a state. It's a police that answers to a corporation. And what does that corporation have to answer to? So just... when you're feeling emotional about things, or you're feeling like, this is so obvious. Why don't they do this? Like the TV showing me this. This is so obvious. Why don't we take all the guns out of school? There's something bigger going on here. I know if you're listening to me, you know there's something bigger going on. I do have new listeners every week, and this might have been a real messy, weird show for you to listen to. I've been a little all over the place. I am finishing up this season 2. And next week, I do plan on, maybe this week, whenever we get time, I will be sitting with My Maria 777 to record my 47th episode, and we will finish up this season. And I thank you guys. If you've listened to, if this is your 46th episode of Project Chaney, you get some kind of gold star. You get some kind of, My Maria does this on her shows. If you make it all the way to the end and she picks a little emoji for you to put on her stuff. If you made it all the way to the 2 emojis that me and my friend Daddy Alex always talk about, like, if you send me these 2 emojis, I'm coming over, girl. These are the 2 emojis I'm going to tell you guys right now. And they hit, I don't know what it is. I don't know if men can say the same thing, but these are the 2 emojis that you're going to get my lesbian to be like, I'm there, girl. There's the emoji of the biting lip. It's just like the lips, but then it's biting the corner of the bottom of the lip. Sprung. That emoji, so hot. But the other one that you wouldn't expect the same is the emoji with the welled up eyes that's crying almost. Oh my gosh. That I'm so soft in the heart. Do you need a hug? Do you need a hug? Don't send me the welled up crying eyes and the biting lip because you going to get fucked. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, shit. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm a married lady. Okay, let's see if I want to talk to you guys about anything else before I put this in the can. I wrote down here, if they ever try to lock us up again, I'm going to wear a doctor's coat into the store. That's my new. I'm going to get a white doctor's coat and start wearing it around everywhere. I'm still not going to wear a mask, but I'll wear a full doctor's coat. I wrote sugar. Change your body's fuel source, less fatigue, good skin. Who cares about sugar? You want a little sugar? And I'm not going to turn the page on this. That is it. That is where I'm going to leave you guys today. I hung out with you for an hour and 40 minutes. It's my longest solo show. If I'm going to be fair and critique it now on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably a 5. It wasn't great. There was no new rabbit holes. I'm probably not going to teach you anything new. If you're next level conspiracy, there isn't some ancient antiquitech. I didn't tell you where Tartaria was. We didn't go into any alien bases or Antarctica. I just have shit I've been writing down on a piece of paper for too many weeks since it's been here. And I'm realizing now if it gets too long that I'm here, then I lose like my freshness on my rant. And so I need to be here more. I always like being here more with you guys. I'm saying it to myself so I don't take so long to come back. But I did know the season was finishing up, and I really didn't know how I was going to close it out and get all the way to episode 50. And so now I feel a freedom that I'm not going to 50. What is that round number thing? What's a round number? I'm going to stop it at 47. So my next episode will be my last episode of season 1. So if you like everything that you've listened to up until this point, tell a friend, hit like and subscribe. Make sure you go to my YouTube and find it and hit subscribe, and you'll be the first one out there to get all the notifications when I do have video. And I love you guys. And I hope your June is amazing. I hope your Sagittarius full moon was beautiful. And I hope we get to hang out very, very soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
So she has been Chaney, and now she's off to smoke a blunt. See you next Tuesday, you fucking cunts.